how are you actually doing today? Like, how are you today?
Ooh, how am I today? It's a tough one to answer because it's like holding 85 things at once. That on a personal level, I am okay. Um, the peace deal was just reached in Armenia. I say so-called peace deal. Though there has been a war there, I know a lot of it feels like a lot of people don't know about it because there hasn't been a ton of international support. So perhaps people watching knew about it, perhaps they don't. But uh, the indigenous land was agreed to be given to Azerbaijan, and so has displaced a lot of, I think, about 100,000 people. And it's been a whirlwind, honestly, trying to come to terms with that because on one hand, it feels so far away, but on the other hand, I believe that ethnic cleansing happening anywhere means that it can happen everywhere. And, we just came off of this election in the States. It just feels like there is so much to hold. And sometimes it is genuinely hard to look at our world and feel hopeful. Um, I do have hope, so I don't want to say that it's like I'm totally nihilistic about it, but I think that it's just like there's pain. There is just a lot of pain. So, um, yeah, I'm a mixture of a lot of things, I guess, which is not a very clean answer, but it's, you know, this year is not a clean year. Life is not clean.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, to give a clean answer when there's a billion things going on in your heart and around the world that's almost impossible. I wonder how many people out there are like, I'm great.
Right.
There, I'm like, I've got some news to share with you.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I similarly, it's just every single day is something new. And it's always been like that, where it's like every day brings something new, but
Yeah.
this has been a long, who knows how many years coming of just realizing day after day, wow, another thing to find a way to support, to grow, to
Hmm.
bring awareness to, and then at the same time trying to manage your own life personally. It is overwhelming.
Yeah, it is overwhelming because I think that the thing is that at least for me, I immediately go into, you know, what can I do? How can I contribute? There's someone else who can do this better. There's someone else who can, you know what I mean? It's like it's always putting it at the feet of other people. And I feel like I'm just now coming to the point that it's like, we are all overwhelmed and also can't stop trying. And so it's like these little baby steps. And I keep telling myself that even when it feels like what I'm doing is insignificant, it isn't. Because
That's
otherwise, it's just like there's too many things. There's too many things to hold ourselves accountable for in a way.
exactly. When you said baby steps, I got
Oh, I
goosebumps.
see that. Your little goosebumps. Oh my God.
Because it's true with any effort to create a positive change. It really does. It's almost impossible to think that you're going to take that one giant leap from things being, shitty to suddenly being perfect. It's all the baby steps that you do, it's all the baby steps that other people do, and then together those make those kinds of like leaps and bounds when you're able to realize the interconnectedness of your tiny step with somebody else's tiny step.
Exactly. Totally agree. I feel like in a lot of ways that's been my life personally for the past 5 years. So it's like I've had tons of practice. I don't know why it's so hard now, but I think that it's like, as I feel like in a way, my life fell apart a few years back because I just was so aimless and lost. And it was like all the things I loved, I didn't love anymore and I didn't know why. And it was like I entered this huge period of unknown. And it was like, I just wanted the answer. I wanted the capital A answer to my life. And then it's like, that never came, probably is never going to come. I just had to start showing up in small ways. And those small ways started to kind of like piece together and are still piecing together, and just kind of like relieving myself the pressure of having it figured out, because I just don't think it's possible.
Yeah, that's really an important point. I feel like a lot of people who go through a process of healing have that dark period of the unknown, and kind of like in the tarot, like the tower, everything's falling apart into the abyss. Could you talk a little bit about that time in life of reconnecting with your spirit?
Moment that I feel like I really reconnected to spirit, or moments, I guess, plural, um, was really um, the time when I realized that it's like, it's not this like hidden secret part. Sorry, I'm at New York. Sounds. I don't know if you can hear like 17 trucks driving by. It was really about realizing that it wasn't like a secret part of myself. It was something like, I have always felt connected to spirit, but it was always something that was like private and secret. And that's kind of like largely how I grew up, that it's like, this is your personal life. This is something, just for you. Um, and, and, and so it was compartmentalized, and I feel like I wasn't really bringing it to every aspect of my life. And so when I started to realize that, one, I think that spirit is in everything. And two, that art is in everything, and that they're not interchange, like they're not, you know what I mean, mutually independent, I guess, or exclusive. That's really when I was able to start kind of looking at myself holistically, that it's like, when I don't take care of my spirit, my work suffers. When I don't take care of um, my work and the day-to-day things I don't want to do, like clean my apartment, look at my finances, this kind of like real world stuff, my spirit suffers. So it's like these things really do feed each other. And it's about like really redefining what is sacred, what is spirituality, why is, going grocery shopping not spiritual in my eyes before, why is not like handling my business spiritual before, that it's like, it was like this kind of fun peak experience stuff over here, or aiming for it. um, and then kind of like life, and it's like those things have to join.
Right, like you can't just be like open the door and you're like, "Yay, this is spirit time." And then you do a
Yeah.
few things and then close the door and be like, "Okay, back to life." It's all together. It's
Yes,
all part of it.
exactly.
um Touching a little bit more on art and its connection to spirituality. I see a lot of the paintings that you do, and they're like visual representations of meditations. At least that's what I'm seeing. Whenever you are creating this art, is that something that is happening? Is this an organic process, or what is art for you in this term of being a form of meditation?
Mm. Um, yes, in a way, it is kind of like my seated practice, where it's like I try to get out of the way, basically, try to recognize where, thoughts are coming in, where I'm getting in my own way, as opposed to just like witnessing what's there. So sometimes my work, and my newer work that doing now, is really about being a witness and seeing what naturally evolves. And then I also do the prayer paintings, where it's like mantra or prayer or something, that it's like um, a point of focus. So in a lot of ways, because meditation has always been like really elusive for a really long time, I'm like, am I even doing this right? What am I supposed to be doing? Um, and I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I still have those questions, and I'm like, am I doing this thing? And I think I'm doing it, but there's something I don't know. So we're still working it out. But yeah, it's kind of developing like a physical sense of what I'm trying to understand in my meditation practice, which is like how to, one, train my mind to focus, and two, have awareness of what is without trying to change it. I hope that answer makes any kind of sense.
So
Okay.
much sense. Yes, it does.
Okay.
It does.
Okay.
Because, I think a lot of times with how well-being has become this kind of commodity in life, especially through social media, we see these like objects of like, this is meditation, or we see this group of people saying like meditation is when you sit down and then you reach nirvana because you didn't think of anything for 2 hours
Yeah.
straight, and then you
Right.
fasted on water for an entire week. And it's like people get overwhelmed with that sense of like what it has to be, but
Yeah.
meditation can be this active kind of engagement in being aware of what is coming out of you, of being present in the process of creation. And I
Mhm.
always have believed that creation itself is what makes us human. And so when we're able to connect with that root that we all have, that taps from our soul to our spirit to what we put out in life, that in essence, when you're able to create with compassion, is an active meditation,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
I think so. I
I
think
think
so. I think
so.
it's like getting to the point that everything we do can be a form of meditation, or how do we bring awareness to it all? And it's like I think that ultimately these times of like concentrated practice are to get us to a point that we carry it with us in everything.
Yes, 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 and yes. Some of the things that happen in life right now, I'm so thankful to have started my process of mindfulness and being more aware of the present in my own life and what surrounds me. Because now, when difficulties come my way, they're still very difficult, but I'm able to use a lens of compassion after years of cultivating understanding of what that really means, to be able to overcome and not be, you know, feeling like powerless.
Yes, I totally agree. I feel like mindfulness practice is really a game changer.
Hmm.
It has been for me for sure.
Do you have a practice that is daily or weekly that's a kind of non-negotiable thing for you?
Mm, that non-negotiable, that's a tough one. I feel like I, for the majority of this year, I have really my non-negotiable has been morning pages. If anybody's done the artist way, the 3 pages of like free writing where you're just like brain dump basically. I need that. And a seated practice. Um, but recently, I have been having a really hard time doing either of those things. And even when I do sit, it's like I'm all over the place. I think um, I thought those were non-negotiable, and I really want to get back to them being in my life. But I think right now I'm so out of my body because of stress and all the stuff that's going on. Then in a lot of ways, um, I'm trying to make it simpler on myself, which is not look at my phone first thing in the morning. Like, how quickly can an hour go by? I hate when Instagram catches me, like, because it's like my alarm. I need to get an alarm clock. That's what I actually need to do. A real alarm clock. So my phone's not my alarm clock. And then I'm like, well, here, let me just look at Instagram. And then I'm like reading and whatever. So no phone. Um, I am pulling cards for myself. Like it's just easier to do something that's external in a way, um, and has been giving me some peace. Um, I have oracle cards, so just to make that clear, um, anyway. So and drinking tea in the morning and really trying to be present with that, or mineral water because I'm just having such a hard time. I'm such a mental person anyway that it's like I just go there. And so having these kind of like more these practices that are kind of through the mind to the heart have been more challenging lately. And so I'm trying to figure out a new way in, which is through my body. Um, but I will always come back to those practices, and still trying to recommit to them every day. I mean, the thing I love the most about meditation teachers, Sharon Salzberg comes to mind, is how she's is always like, you always start again. I think that it's easy with like the non-negotiables to be like, I didn't meditate today, that erased however many days I meditated before this. Do you know what I mean? I do
Mhm.
that to myself, that I'm like, I have to start over from
Yeah.
scratch.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
No, and that's so like indicative too of the kind of society that we have developed and we live in, where it's like it's all or it's nothing. And if you've given it
Exactly.
your all and then you give up, you're back at square one. And it's like, come
Exactly.
on, give me a
E-
break. I've tried really hard.
Exactly. And it's like it's always going to be a path that you get off and get on. I mean, maybe not always, hopefully. Maybe one day I will meditate every day for forever. Um, I'm not in that now. So I'm just doing the best I can to not be so hard on myself when I miss it, and to just sit even if I can't kind of like complete the time that I wanted to sit.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Something that's been really helpful for me, because I used to be that kind of person who was like, Ashley, sit down and meditate. And I really loved it, actually. Like when I was able to be in
mhm,
it and meditate every day, that was a nice time in life.
same.
That was great. Uh,
Same.
I miss it.
Same.
But it's just it's not plausible right now. Like I have to be, once again, coming back to reaching a different point that brings me presence. And like you were saying, getting back in the body, that has been so important at this time, more than it has been in a long time. Like reclaiming what it is to wiggle my fingers, to
Yeah.
like to stretch. And for me, I've had to be more active in my own practice of getting back into what I consider to be my current needs for well-being. Well, what has been your message that you feel like an important message at this time to share with people who may be struggling with their own practice, or may be trying to understand what their well-being is for the first time?
Mm. What is coming up right now? I mean, I think the thing that is consistently important to me and that I need to always remind myself, and so I end up trying to offer that to other people, is to just take it easy a bit. That it's just like not being so hard on ourselves for what we're not able to do. And it really goes back to the baby steps thing, that it's like I think that if you have a lot of perfectionism, like I really do, and this kind of, like trying to control things through like achieving or excellence, or like I'm going to work hard, which I think a lot of like, um, I mean, I think is like a really prevalent trauma response in our society, that it's just like, I'm going to be safe because I'm going to be so perfect that no one can get in there. Do you know what I mean? No one can tell me I'm doing something wrong. No one, like, people will love me because I'm showing up um, at that like peak version of myself all of the time. And I think that what has been a real deep um, reflection for me this year is can I love and accept myself for whatever way that I can show up, and that it's not going to be perfect all the time, and that it's going to be messy sometimes, and perfect doesn't exist. Like it's not like I'm like, I used to be perfect and now I really like, it's just like, I'm killing myself trying to be this thing that I cannot be. And I think that we kind of get fed that a lot, which I mean, like capitalism, patriarchy, all this stuff. You must do X, Y, and Z to matter. And I think that this kind of like allowing ourselves baby steps and easing up on expectations, but still showing up is a way to, you know, rebel against that. That it's just like I don't have to earn anything to matter, to be loved. And it really starts with ourselves. And it's the hardest thing. Like my internal voice is so hard on me. And so it's like really just reminding myself and therefore other people that it's just like you're doing okay. Like if you are showing up in little tiny ways, or even if you can't show up in little tiny ways, if you are just like here breathing, you're getting sleep, you know what I mean? Like you're if you are doing what you can, that is enough. And keep doing that and until potentially there's a call to more. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Complete sense. What have you been doing personally for yourself to remind yourself daily that you're doing the best and that it's going to be okay?
Crying, crying, complaining to my boyfriend. Um, I do. I mean, I'm joking, but I mean, in a lot of ways, I am a verbal processor. So sometimes I just have to like get it out of my body. I don't think I've reached a point where I can like fully talk myself off the ledge when I really start to spin. And so it's like really connecting with people who I'm close to, verbal processing, journaling helps. Really, it's just about like getting it out of my body because I am a kind of person that I can really drive things into the ground. Like I can think about the same three things like over and over and over and over and over again. Um, so really, the help with that for me is to just express.
How amazing is it the power of taking something from here or here and then finding a way to like verbalize it, whether it be through artistic creation or through writing or through speaking, singing, even dance. It is
Mhm.
true. When you get it out of your body, it's almost like a self-liberatory act.
Totally. Totally. Because I think a lot of times that it's like, you know, and like venting, we can cross the line into like dumping on people. But I think when it's like a healthy vent of like, I just need to get it out, a lot of times you don't even need it fixed or you don't need a response. It's like you just need to say it. And it's like, yeah, just
Hmm.
saying it, even if no one listens.
Yeah. I agree. Speaking of which, I'm probably after we're done with this, I'm gonna go like sit in the bathroom and just like talk to myself about
Yeah.
all the things I need to get out.
Yes,
Not to bother anyone out here. Like I got some things to say. Ah!
exactly.
Well, is there anything that you would like to say before we wrap this up?
Hmm. I mean, nothing comes nothing comes to mind exactly.
I
Um,
only ask that because sometimes, you know, somebody has something that they were like hoping to be able to express and whatever, you know, like people thinking about, oh,
yeah.
I hope I get to talk about this. And that I don't know
Mm.
what that is. So I just like,
Oh,
if you
gotcha.
want to talk about something, go ahead and talk about it. But if we talk, I feel like that was really awesome. Like I feel super inspired by your sharing of what is going on in your life. Thank you.